world of football is, I wouldn't say it's normal, because all of a sudden...
It's never been normal, is it? It's absolutely bonkers.
I am joining you live from my bar.
Oh, wow. Well, potentially could be worth it for 30 goals a season.
Hello, my name is Roshan and thank you for joining us on In 20. We've been away for a week or two, and that's because Danny has been out and about in Spain, enjoying his break. The international break, it's over. Completely unnecessary, as quoted by Thibaut Courtois. But the Premier League is back, and Danny, Mo Salah, everyone's coining him the best in the world right now. But my question to you is he the most informed player, therefore he is the best player, or is he like the next Messi or Cristiano?
He's an exceptional player, isn't he? We know that. Look at his record over the last few seasons. The amount of goals that he scored. I guess the argument would be, who is better at the moment? Who's in better form at the moment? There aren't too many. Messi hasn't hit the heights at PSG yet. Ronaldo started great at Manchester United, and that's dropped off. Neymar and Mbappe maybe not quite firing, as yet, as we've seen before. So I guess at the moment, on form, he has to be up there. But I'm sure he's going to score a lot of goals this season. His ability is second to none. The goal he scored yesterday, the quick feet, the ability to go past people, is absolutely sensational. So I guess in those sort of terms, right now, player in form at the moment, I guess he has to be up there.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but for me, there's a lot of people who just watch the Premier League and the Premier League alone and completely forget the likes of Haaland or Ashraf Hakimi. For that, personally, for me, I know, yes, okay, fine, he's playing in a one league team, but you have the likes of Kimmich as well in Bayern Munich.
And Lewandowski still scoring goals. Yeah, I guess because obviously it's media centric, isn't it? The Premier League is probably the most watched league in the world. Mo Salah's ripping it up again at the moment. The goal that he scores yesterday, I think everyone gets a little bit biased, towards that. If he doesn't score that goal, are we talking about him as the world's greatest player? At the moment, possibly not, but he does score it. So I just guess what he's doing at the moment is sensational, and I suppose, like we just said, over the course of the last few years, his stats pretty much back that up.
Okay, so let's put things into perspective. All right, now we will give him that he is one of the best players to watch right now. He's very consistent, week in, week out, 2 wonder goals back to back in terms of what he does for a living for his club. But if I were to ask you to compare him to the likes of the greats, Thierry Henry, Alan Shearer, Andy Cole when he was at United, Dwight York when he was also at United, these are some big names. And let's not forget about a certain Dennis Bergkamp as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he has to be in that bracket now. He's won the Champions League, he's won the Premier League. The amount of goals that he scored. Why would he not be in that same sort of bracket as those players? He's done it now for 4 or 5 seasons. Whatever it might be since he's been at Liverpool, since his arrival. So he's shown consistency. We talk about Harry Kane as one of the best strikers in the world. Mo Salah's scoring just as many goals, really, from a wide position as that. So no, I think it's right. I think he does have to be put into that category now.
And if you're a Liverpool fan, I mean, I know you're not a Liverpool fan, but if you were a Liverpool fan, who's a bigger legend? Robbie Fowler or Mo Salah? You got to give me an answer. Oh, sorry, Danny.
I mean, Robbie was God, wasn't he? That was his nickname. Robbie is the best finisher I've ever seen. No matter what. And again, you have to go back to Robbie's heyday. When he first burst onto the scene in the Premier League, the amount of hat-tricks, etc., that he scored. It's very, very difficult. Slightly different positions. Both left-footed. Scored some sensational goals. I guess just the fact that Robbie is a Scouser, is one of their own. It probably at the moment still shades it, although he never won that major trophy.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Wow, Robbie Fowler better than Mo Salah. That's Danny Mills, right? I mean, he's over there. Let's talk about another player right now who's made the headlines, and we are not picking on United. All right, I can promise you that. But let's hear from Paul Pogba after that defeat against Leicester City, and then we can just discuss it. Is that fair enough, Danny?
Fair enough.
Okay. Can we please play his interview?
You need to be more mature, I think. We need to play with more experience. Arrogance in a good term, meaning that we have to take the ball and play our football. But now you have to find what's the key of this change and this game that we lose, because I think we deserve to lose today.
When you say you've been playing this type of game for a long time, do you feel it is a team that's making the same mistakes and not learning?
Yeah, I think it's all of us. It's all of us. We need to find something. We need to change something to be.
Oof. Right. No fancies. This is a very natural show. You're not going to get all those flashy things on the screen. But what he said is very raw and real. That's actually a good name for a show. We should think about Danny. But is he going to get slaughtered by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the backroom staff for his honesty in front of camera?
I'm not sure that he should. Clearly, he's frustrated. We can all see it. This is something that has been coming for a while. Manchester United were, second in the table going into this game. But the performances haven't been brilliant so far this season. I commentated on the young boys game. It was a terrible pitch, an AstroTurf pitch. They went down to 10 men, but tactically inept in that game. No plan. Should have been able to keep the ball, even with 10 men, against a very, very average young boys side. Couldn't, and obviously lost the game. And that sums up Manchester United at the moment. There is no plan. There is no blueprint. I played under Kevin Keegan, and it seems a little bit similar. It's like, look, you're all good players. Go out and play. Football doesn't work like that. Doesn't matter how good your players are. You need a blueprint. Look at what Leicester did yesterday. They were organised. They knew what they were doing. They've still got very, very good players, but it's down to the coach to teach them, when you haven't got the ball, this is the starting positions. This is what we're going to do as a team. This is how we come together as a team. Football is not an individual sport. You've all got to do it together. And if you don't perform as a team, you get beaten. And at the moment, I look at Manchester United, and it's a team of individuals. There is no real cohesion, at the moment. David De Gea, who's had a lot of stick in the past, was sensational yesterday. Was fantastic. Harry Maguire didn't look at his sharpest. Obviously, he has had an injury. Looked a little bit out of sorts. Cristiano Ronaldo, hardly saw him, in that game. Sancho hasn't turned up yet, at Manchester United. So the blueprint for Manchester United is not there. Tactically, they look poor at times and they look lost.
Okay, we can go back and forth about, the blueprint, which is a very good point. But my question to someone like you, or perhaps any former footballer, is why are teams like Liverpool and Man City and Chelsea so consistent with their gameplay, and that you can't find at United?
Because they train at it every day. It's working on patterns. It's working on, right, this is our start. If you look at Manchester City, every player has almost like a 10, 15-yard square on the pitch that he starts in. The distances between people are all similar. Leicester yesterday, very, very similar. When they haven't got the ball, they're compact. They're all together. When one goes to press, they all go to press. There's trigger points. Liverpool do exactly the same thing. And that takes training. You can't just say, right, we're going to do this tomorrow, and it works. You have to be drilled. So those things become instinctive. So, go back to, people know this, the Arsenal back four. When one player stood up and went offside, they all stood up and went offside. It was almost like it was an organic unit that instinctively they knew what to do. That takes work. And clearly Manchester United can't be working on that hard enough in training. And this is what Paul Pogba's, sort of talking about at the moment. Something has to change. The attitude has to be better, perhaps. They have to be more organised. The defending from set pieces, which is very, very simple. That's the easy part of the game, was poor yesterday from Manchester United. And that has to come from the manager.
You're a former professional. Most of your fellow pundits in England are former professionals. I'm just a football fan, lucky to, get the dream job of being someone to commentate on football. And whatever you just said, Danny, can be described in one word: tactics. There's no tactics at United. And I mean, the last time I remember someone from United getting in front of a camera and going through an interview. And
It doesn't. It doesn't
team.
matter. We keep. Sorry, Roshan. We keep hearing about this. It's not the Manchester United way. It's not Manchester United's DNA. It's nonsense. It doesn't matter what your DNA is. There has to be a plan. It doesn't. When Mourinho went into Manchester United, it was a different plan. But at least you knew what he was going to do. And he was clearly working on that. That's what he's always done. Louis van Gaal, similar. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, are they a high pressing team? Are they a possession team? Are they a counter-attacking team? Nobody really knows. And you have to do the same things pretty much week in, week out. Look at Burnley. You know what Burnley are going to do. Okay, they don't have the quality of players of maybe some in the Premier League, but they clearly work on what they're going to do week in, week out to try and survive in the division.
Okay.
They have a plan. Manchester United at the moment are a ship without a rudder. They're going round in circles. They need a firm hand at the tiller to start pointing them in the right direction, and I don't think they have that.
And I was about to allude to the fact that the last player that spoke up and they said there was something wrong at the club was Roy Keane, and after an interview, he was asked to leave.
Yeah, but asked to leave by who?
Sir Alex Ferguson.
Exactly. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does not have that authority, does not have that control, and I don't think has the respect. Well, he certainly doesn't have the respect like Sir Alex Ferguson had. And this may be the problem. Sir Alex Ferguson would have gone, you're out. Simple as that. But he had a pedigree and he had a track record where players respected that. And even when he got rid of top players, it was like, okay, we believe in you, we trust in you. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the moment is trying to fit in all his so-called best players, attacking players, rather than going, no, this is how I'm going to play. This is what we do. And if it means leaving one of his superstars on the bench, it has to be that way. But Ole doesn't seem to want to do that at the moment.
It's so refreshing to hear someone like you being honest, because for some reason, whenever I watch the interviews or the shows from abroad, from your neck of the woods, it's always some sort of force field that protects Ole Gunnar Solskjaer from his former teammates. Or you can't say this about Ole. I mean, I believe it was Gary Neville who criticized Cristiano Ronaldo for mumbling off the pitch. Have you not watched Cristiano when he was at Real Madrid? This is the man who got angry when his teammates scored instead of passing the ball to him. And now he's having a go. And you're trying to protect the man. This is scary. Imagine you're in a bank here, and your head of department is getting everything wrong. And just because he's pally with the big boss, he can't get fired. That is scary. That never happens. And that has happened in any organization, but that's scary. Am I close enough for a description?
Yeah, no, it does. It gets a lot of leeway because, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Manchester United legend as a player. Not an issue with that. All the goals that he scored, obviously Champions League final, magnificent, sensational, will go down in Manchester United folklore and history. But as a manager, has been found wanting on too many occasions. And suddenly now, he's brought in Ronaldo, he's brought in Varane, who has picked up an injury. I don't know if you remember, go back to the very, very beginning when I said, Varane, will he be a success? Fantastic player. Is he robust enough for the Premier League? Now, people will say, yeah, but he got injured on international duty. Yeah, he got a groin strain on international duty because maybe the workload up to that point wasn't what he was used to. It was harder. The intensity is much more than he'd ever been used to. So therefore, you get fatigue. When you get fatigue, you get muscle strains and you get injuries. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got all the tools. He's been given all the players that he needs. But as a manager, you have to organise them. There has to be some kind of plan. And it doesn't matter what that plan is. You have to have a plan and you have to stick to it. And at the moment, it just seems like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United are, right, you're all good players, just go and play. Simple as that. And it doesn't work. You're not going to win trophies that way.
Did it work for Mike Ashley? I know he's finally gone, and some Newcastle fans are extremely happy that he's gone, but this is a man who spent his own money to make the club famous, right? And at least a bit, slightly competitive at a certain level.
He's never had a good relationship with the fans, even from that first moment where he went into the Newcastle fans drinking beer and all sorts, and I think on the first game that he took over. There's two sides to this story. Actually look at what he's done long term. How long he's been there. Financial stability of the club kept them in the Premier League more often than not. I know they've gone up and down. but he's managed that club relatively well. He's made some strange appointments along the way. You can't argue with that, and some strange decisions. But I think the fans have always said, look, he's not putting enough money into the club. He's always maybe had the manager with one arm tied behind his back, not giving them any funds in the transfer market. But he's run the club at a profit. So there are two arguments. As a football fan, no, you're not going to like him because he hasn't spent the millions and the billions, like Abramovich, like Manchester City, like I'm sure the new owners are going to do. But on the flip side of that, he's kept the club in business. He's kept them in the Premier League for the most part. Okay, it hasn't been the most entertaining football. They haven't really challenged for any trophies. But when you look at some other clubs and the demise and how bad they've been, on that side of things, he's done an okay job. But football fans don't want an okay job, do they? They want to be competitive. They want an attractive team to watch, and they want a little bit of hope. And I think at Newcastle, for too many years, that hope of winning something has just not been there.
Is it down to Leicester City and what they did with the Premier League and how they won it and that fairy tale every club now wants it? I mean, let's be honest. I think Micah actually took over in 2006, 2007. That's a long run.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that he's been they were relegated a few times, but he has.
But they bounced straight back. They bounced straight back. Don't forget. And it doesn't. No, I think that the Leicester is always going to be the fairy tale, and people will always say, but Leicester, but Leicester. I mean, that was a perfect storm where everybody else in the Premier League had an off time. Leicester were absolutely sensational and surprised everybody. I don't see that happening again, where a team just survives relegation and then goes on to win the Premier League the next season. I think I can't ever see that happening again in my lifetime. What Leicester did was a miracle. And should be celebrated, rightly so. But they've grown since then. They've changed what they do. They've evolved from that point. For Newcastle, it's the beginning of a journey, and it's a long journey. This is not going to be success overnight. Newcastle fans ultimately want to be competitive. Play a decent, attractive brand of football.
But that blank check will be ridiculous from the owners.
Well, but they're only talking about 50 million in the transfer window in January. Newcastle are starting from a very, very low point. This is not sort of where other teams have been in the past, where they've had takeovers.
Is it similar
like
to Man
Chelsea.
City? Is it similar to more similar to Man City?
I think City had better players than that. When they came in, because they had one or two owners before that came in, and there was a little bit of money spent. They had the stadium. City were in a better place when they got taken over. First and foremost, Newcastle have got to survive in the Premier League this season. So that means well, they have. That means buying a different type of player to what you would do if you're going to challenge for the top four. So this is maybe why there's going to be 50 million available in the transfer window, because it's like, right, okay, we need a certain group of players now to steady the ship, to get us safe for next season, and then we can look to maybe start to rebuild next summer. But if you're talking about that Newcastle team going to be competitive towards the top four, you're probably looking at 8, 9, 10 new players. And even if you went and bought them tomorrow, getting them all to gel and fit together instantly, almost impossible.
And I know you're a fan of what he has done with whatever challenge it has been placed on his cards, but do you realistically see Steve Bruce there come the start of the new season?
No, definitely not. And I think it's unfortunate for Steve Bruce, but we all know new owners, new broom, sweeps clean, owners with absolutely billions, money to burn. They are going to want the stellar names, the stellar manager. And he may well be there till the end of the season. Depends who's available, because you want a manager that knows how to keep you in the division. And if you give Steve Bruce a bit of money, he's proven that he will keep you in the division. So Newcastle fans, be aware, he may well be there till the end of the season. There might be a change, but there might not. But after that, I think it'll be next summer where we start to see real sort of spending power of Newcastle.
All right, Danny. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you next week. And remember, if you want any of the talking points, Instagram, Facebook, and our Twitter page. That's where you'll find them. Till the next time. Bye-bye.